right here. The pride of the Excelsior, Joe Butcher Boy Shasky.
Take him out!
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, the morning roast.
Tim Roy sounded deflated. I'm sounding defeated. The Warriors get defeated on the road yet again for the 9th straight time. I don't even know if I have an old baby in me, Shasky, as I say good morning to everybody out there.
Oh, baby.
Yeah, I don't have that in me today. I don't. Hey, it was good. 50-point game by Stephen Curry, and he just gets wasted. Can't rebound, can't defend, give up 134 points. Whistles don't go your way, but that's not the reason. You get the bonus with 9 minutes and change left in the fourth quarter, and you still don't go to the damn basket.
But, Bonte, it's March. You know this team doesn't get up for March.
Oh, man, anybody can win in March. Anybody can win in March. What that mean? I have a hard time getting out of my bed in March. What's the game in March mean?
It sounds so absurd a week later, doesn't it? I mean, it sounded absurd the next day and in real time, but like all of the press conference last week against Memphis, it sounds so bad this morning. And he's going to miss the Atlanta game. It's like, dude, you need to win in March, because if you don't win in March, you're not going to see April.
Every time Bonte wears those fake Jordans, they lose. Well, number one, my Jordans are real. Number two, I didn't wear Jordans last night. I wore Stan Smith's Adidas. Everybody pay attention, Hobie.
I will back you.
Oh, it's okay.
Everything that you wear is authentic and real.
You know, let these idiots
It's
get their jokes
certified.
off. Everybody wants to get their jokes off.
What do they call it when a jersey authenticated? Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
Is that am I pronouncing that right? You know when they get like a little placard, This is one of 6,000.
Confirmed 510 Boogie Cousins has been running. Let's bring in 95.
Are they following on his Insta?
Anthony Slater. Anthony, good morning to you, brother. I know you're a Kings beat writer
Did
now.
he get out of bed in March?
Dude. Anthony Slater, I'm going to ask you this, and don't laugh. What is the status of DeMarcus Cousins? Is he in shape? Is he ready to roll? Can the Warriors sign him? Would he be eligible for the postseason? Your thoughts? What's your take on that?
I believe I saw him on a Rachel Nichols podcast. I think he's kind of podcasting now. He's dipped his toes into the Showtime basketball podcast world. Do not expect DeMarcus Cousins to be on the Warriors. I would.
You sure?
Point,
you sure he couldn't help the Warriors?
I think it's very much more likely that Anthony Lamb will be back on the court. I'm sure something that will fire up the fan base. But that is the larger expectation, I'd say, with the 15th spot as they decide in the next few days. But could DeMarcus Cousins help the Warriors? I mean, I'm sure he could grab some rebounds, and that would have helped last night. But he also probably would have got put in the pick and roll, especially for not playing basketball for an entire season. So
I'd spend 15 minutes saying that, but I guess the Warriors need size.
Can we at least, as we talk about the roster,
DeMarcus Cousins not helping you,
no one's saying that, but like Bonte, they need a body, right? Like Anthony, you're talking about Anthony Lamb. Like they're going to have to do something with the Andre Iguodala slot, correct?
Like cut him? Do you think?
I don't know. Like, is he done for the year?
They'll sign a 15th. I mean, Kerr has made that pretty clear. He wants that done ASAP.
So why haven't they?
I mean, it's a money thing in a lot of ways. I mean, it's why they did the Quinones 10-day originally. Could have put Anthony Lamb on the roster 2 weeks ago, whatever it was now. So it's some of it's tax savings, and now it's just trying to figure out exactly who they want to put in that 15th spot. You do it yesterday, Anthony Lamb's on the floor. Does that win you yesterday's game? I don't know, but it gives you a little bit more margin for error. So at this point, I would call it penny pinching, and they've shown a tendency really over the last 3 to 4 seasons to be a little bit cheaper, a little bit more meticulous on the back end of the roster on the small decisions to try to save a little money.
I'm with you there. Anthony Slater here on the morning roast on 95.7 The Game as the Warriors lose their 9th straight road game. I'm not as discouraged about the loss, Anthony, as a lot of people are, because I kind of had that penciled in as an L, and I don't think it's the worst thing in the world for them to be the 6th seed. If they can finish the 6th seed, they need to play Memphis or Sacramento as opposed to the Suns or the Clippers. I think those are just bad matchups, but to see Curry cook last night, let's start there. Let's get some positivity going. Steph Curry coming back in these last 6 games, man. It's just been playing at an incredible level. Sucks that they wasted a 50-point game, but it's good to know that Steph Curry is still Steph Curry at the age of 35.
Yeah, I mean, that's That's why they won the title last year. You know, they won the title for many reasons, and we get into them, and some of them just aren't existing right now. But the number one reason is Steph Curry has shown he is still a top 5 player in the league. And, you know, you always question, not only is he a season older, now he's a year older, right? He just turned 35. But also the injuries pile up for Steph. And this season he's had some weird ones, right? The left shoulder subluxation was odd. The high, it was kind of like a high ankle sprain, but it was like on the top of his shin. Like that was a tricky injury. I mean, he mentioned it a few times. Like that was tough to come back from. You just don't know what he's going to look like when he comes back, and boom. I mean, look at his 6 box scores since he's been back. He had a 10-3 40-point night against the Thunder. He had a few other big ones. Then last night he had 50. I mean, that was really as good as you'll see him offensively. He made 20 shots last night. It tied a career high. 20 of 28 was his stat line. He's only ever done that once. Could you guys even guess the game that he made 20 shots?
No.
At Orlando during the unanimous MVP season, it was actually the game before the Thunder game where, you know, the double bang Thunder.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
He scored 51 in Orlando, hit 20 shots that night. That's the only other time he's made 20.
That's incredible.
Wow.
28-28.
So let me ask you about Curry. I know they're very, like, I don't know, predetermined regarding the minute allocation. Was last night a night where you just kind of throw it out the window in terms of what you wanted to do and just start him in the fourth quarter, considering that you're probably going to, you know, rest some of these guys on the road at some point because that's what you've done all year? Like, why not play him in that fourth quarter last night? Like, what are you saving him for? He's 35.
Well, I thought he did kind of stretch it because he played him all 12 in the third. You know, he's not that far removed. And then he brought him back with, like, what? I'd like to look at the exact play-by-play, but I think like 8:30 or something left in the fourth. So, I mean, he played 20-33 in a fourth quarter of a regular season game. Like, that is stretching it for Steve. Now, you could have, you know, you start him in the fourth, that's fine. You do want to play him all 24 in the second half?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
you got
to,
I assume, get him at some rest, but he really didn't. I think he only sat 3.5 minutes in the second half. Problem is, I mean, to me, the biggest issue, he scores 21 in the third. That was like one of the best quarters you'll ever see from him. And you lose that quarter 38-35.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
great point.
That was his 39th career 20-point quarter, 9 of 11 from the floor in that frame. He was just special. He was making everything. All right, there's been a lot of questions as we're talking to Anthony Slater here on 95.7 The Game Morning Roast. We love slates, the whistles.
Slates.
I'm sitting here. Look, I'm looking at that game, and I see second chance points, 27-11 Clippers. I see offensive rebounds, 16-7 Clippers. I see points off turnovers, 20-11 Clippers. But the whistles, a lot of fans are saying, hey, the Warriors don't get a good whistle, specifically Stephen Curry. What did you think about the whistle last night?
Well, Steph could have got, you know, some more free throws. Generally, they shoot the least amount of free throws in the league because they're tiny. I mean, you see them out there. I mean, Dante DiVincenzo, like the small forward in a lot of lineups. They closed last night with Steph, Clay, DiVincenzo, Kuminga, Draymond at the 5. They don't, you know, attack the rim nearly like most teams in the league. You know, and like I just think refs at times, maybe it's a little bit of a bias too, but they don't reward smaller players when they go in there because they're not as physical. It's why Jonathan Kuminga, you know, probably has the best free throw rate on the team. Mm-hmm. You just, when you see him drive, you see the physicality, you see the way he's kind of going through bodies. That picks up more whistles. Typically, the Warriors do not have many players like that. You know, so I think that's the main problem on like the macro scale. Last night, sure, there could have been more Steph Curry whistles, but you mentioned to me the stats that matter more. 20. What did you say? 27-11.
27-11 second chance. Yeah.
I mean, it's what I wrote off the game was. Last year, they were the sixth best defensive rebounding team in the NBA. This season, they're the 15th. Like, 15th is not horrible. You're completely league average. But they were good last year because they could go small, but they protected themselves better. That was Otto Porter. That was Nemanja Bjelica. Even JTA at times when he'd play in the regular season. They felt bigger. They rebounded better. This year, they just feel a lot smaller. Andrew Wiggins only played 37 games, which means, assuming he doesn't play 5 more games. He's playing less than half the season this year. And they're just not, like, they don't rebound like they did. And last night you saw it with Westbrook had 4 in the first half. Zubac killed him down the stretch. You know, you could have played Looney, but then, you know, you're playing Looney, Draymond.
Yeah.
Nigga, That's where
Right.
you really
Clunky.
feel Wiggins' absence.
Yeah. On the Wiggins thing, you're a journalist, and I hold you in very high regard because I think that you obviously are at the highest level of the craft. And so I'm just curious about this, the Wiggins thing. We don't need to know anything, but how we discuss the team is very difficult right now because we don't know if he's coming back. We're trying to respect his privacy. But a game like last night, it's hard to not think about his absence. And people are like, well, you got to respect the privacy. Like, yeah, you do. But also, like, were we supposed to, like, talk like he doesn't exist? Like, they're missing his money. They're missing his input, his impact. We don't know if he's coming back. From a journalist point of view, I don't want to know about exactly why he's out or any of those things. How are you navigating the Wiggins thing in terms of putting it out there for the public? Because I'm sure that you get the same thing that we get. People are asking what's going on, and we're like, we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's really a hot topic in the league right now, and for the last month at this point, it's a common conversation, and obviously it's someone that's around the team and covers the team. You have a lot of conversations about what is going on, what the impact is, all that. It's been made clear that they're very protective of what's going on with Andrew Wiggins. It's a private situation. I think Marcus Thompson, for our, the Athletic yesterday wrote a very good story of people kind of want to get that perspective on why the information about what's going on isn't out there. But I don't have any trouble discussing what his absence means. Again, I wrote an article about the rebounding yesterday, and I mentioned the absence of Wiggins. It's a main reason for it. The lack of spacing they don't have. He was shooting 45% from three at one point early in the season. That's gone. Right. When we talk about their title possibilities, I mean, it's very easy to look at last season, what happened in the playoffs last season. He morphed into the second most important player on the team. He's guarding Jason Tatum and Luka Doncic while scoring 20 a game in the West Finals and the NBA Finals. If they don't have him, and at this point it's seeming more doubtful by the day, I think we can all say that. They don't seem to know for sure, but they seem to not know that he's coming back. And if he doesn't come back, they aren't winning the title. I just, we saw it yesterday. The Clippers played really good. That was a very good game by the Clippers. I thought the Warriors brought great energy, but you could just tell they're missing the requisite pieces to challenge a contender. And that biggest missing piece is their $33 million small forward that hits threes, that can get you tough twos, and that guards the best wings in the league. They played Kawhi Leonard and Paul George last night. They could not guard them. They couldn't guard him because Andrew Wiggins wasn't there. Why he's not there, we completely understand the privacy of it. But is it killing the team right now? Yeah, of course it is.
Anthony, as a journalist, how difficult has it been for you to navigate this topic? Because what I want to know is, when did you first ask about Andrew Wiggins? Because it has been over a month, and I think the Bay Area media has done a good job of respecting the privacy of Andrew Wiggins and respecting the Warriors' request for the privacy. But I'm sure your editor there at The Athletic has said, hey, we've got to ask the question, right?
Yeah, and I mean, just ask regularly in the press conference. I asked Steve the other day, just like, when Steve or Bob Myers comes on your guys' radio station, somebody asks them about it. Right. You know what the answer is. I mean, you can read different tones and different hints. And I thought when I asked Steve, what was it, 4 or 5 days ago? Right. He kind of had a more ominous, we hope he's coming back, but if he doesn't, he doesn't. Basically, it was like, okay, that's a signal that this is dragging out a lot longer than maybe previously expected. When did I start asking about it? I mean, if you remember the timeline, he played, I believe it was February 13th at a home game.
He missed the
Clipper game before the break, right?
Yeah. They went to L.A. before the break, and it actually made sense on a day for somebody to miss if you're going to, right? It was the second night of a back-to-back on the road right before the All-Star break. Something's going on personally, go, get an early break, essentially. And Steve Kerr pregame that night said, we expect him back after the break. That was provided as the expectation. Then they came out of the break in L.A. again. He wasn't there, and that's when the tone seemed to be, this is going to be, even when you asked about it, nobody would say why, but they're like, it's going to be definite absence, and it's probably going to be a while, and it's still going.
Anthony, one last thing, just hypothetically around the league, because you say you talk to people and you're very connected. Does this have any precedent? Is there a player or something where something else might have happened somewhere else? because I can't think of anything even close to this. We're in uncharted waters, and I think that's what makes it. And obviously, there's the personal element. It makes it very difficult to talk about. We were just discussing like normal work situations, and there's really no like for like comparison that anyone can come up with. Is there anything that the league has seen that remotely resembles this?
Yeah, Rui Hachimura, I don't remember the exact amount of days, but Rui Hachimura left the Wizards for a while last season for personal reasons, I believe it was listed as. I don't remember much of the precedent on that situation, but I don't believe the reasons for it came out. So, I mean, that's somewhat of a, I guess, similar situation, but, I mean, generally, no. I mean, especially with no reason given, this is pretty rare. Yeah.
No end in sight either. No end in sight. Hopefully Wiggins is doing well. I know we got cooked yesterday by a lot of cloud chasers who didn't listen to the show and our conversation about it. We weren't even talking about Andrew Wiggins, but Anthony Slater, are you traveling to Atlanta to follow this team? And what do you think happens with Draymond Green's 16th technical? Is there a chance that it gets rescinded? Because without Draymond Green Friday night, that's going to be a tough order against the Hawks.
Yeah, I'm actually going to the NCAA tournament games today in Sacramento. I don't think I'm going to make it out in time to Atlanta.
Look at you.
I know, 916 slates.
Hey, I'll watch some college prospects today. They have their first round pick. Warriors do have their first round pick. But what's it called? Draymond. I mean, it's tough for me to see the league rescind yesterday.
Right.
Now he mentioned the idea post game. He mentioned the idea of like he has passed one of his past 15 technicals. He believes is rescindable. Now, I've never.
Is that what? No, he's not. Let's stop right there. There's no way he wants to go back in time and retroactively rescind one of the old ones.
Yeah, well, he mentioned one where like he's like, all I asked the ref was like, I can't remember his, but I was like, I'm not sure I've ever heard the league go, well, we rescind one from January.
Oh, that's funny.
But
that's funny.
Asked about it today. They'll come down with some ruling. The truth is, it's a back-to-back. He is kind of banged up, right?
Yes.
He has the hand thing that he's been dealing with. He rolled the ankle really bad. He might not have played both sides of his back-to-back anyways, although he probably would have. But I don't know that a rest night is horrible for him. Now, the problem is they're so thin. Iguodala's out. No Wiggins, obviously. No Peyton. Maybe you get Lamb on the roster. Maybe this speeds that up. But, yeah.
I want to clear something up real quick, Anthony, before we let you go. Thanks for the time today. So if he picks up another technical, is it every two technicals now that he gets suspended? Or is it if he picks up the 17th, he gets popped for another game?
It's every other. So he has a free one coming up.
So he got a free one. So he's got some
It's like one of those free possessions at the end that Jordan Poole bombs and gives a turnover to the other team. It's a 2-for-1.
The two for one.
Exactly.
Oh, God.
What a bad shot that was at the end of the third quarter.
I thought they were going to try to tee him up during the Morris scuffle yesterday, and I was like, oh, no, did he already use 17? But no, he has a free one to play with over the last couple games.
And last one for you. If the Warriors do sign a street free agent, would that free agent be available to play in the playoffs?
If they weren't on a roster on March 1st.
Gotcha.
Okay.
John Wall, for example, this is not going to happen. But John Wall, for example, was off a roster before March 1st. So, like, those type of players are eligible.
Gotcha. Maybe DeMarcus Cousins. Maybe there's hope, Shasta.
Have fun today.
He was not on the roster.
He was not on the roster. He may not be on the roster.
Have fun today at Golden One Center.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's a good slate up there. No pun intended.
Yeah, it's solid.
Anthony, always good to us, man. Take care, man. Have fun watching March Madness. It's a good time up there at Golden One. I went up there a few years ago. Lonzo Ball was playing for UCLA. It's a good slate. Golden One does a great job, man. I can't wait for it to come back to Chase Center.